Maybe there's hope for Marvel yet. Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be talking about the new installment to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is Spider-Man: Brand New Day, starring Tom Holland as your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This movie takes place 4 years after the events of No Way Home, after Peter Parker asks Doctor Strange to use his magic to make everyone forget that he was in fact Spider-Man. Now he's dealing with the aftermath of that decision by continuing his superhero duties in total isolation whilst dealing with a brand new enemy, something unlike anything he has ever encountered before. Now, I actually saw this film with a few friends of mine, and one of them told me that he felt like this movie was course correcting itself. And I actually agree with that statement, meaning that it felt like this movie was trying to make up for all the mistakes that the previous 3 Spider-Man films had made in the past. One thing's for sure is that the biggest improvement that I saw in this movie was the comedy. Like Spider-Man's new webbing in this movie, the humor in this film is probably the most organic out of all the films that Tom Holland has done. I just remember those movies being so awkward, and it's not just because they were teenagers and they were going through an awkward phase or anything, but the jokes just didn't land for me. It felt like they were trying so hard, but in this movie, it felt totally natural. And I gotta talk about the chemistry, because what stood out to me the most in this movie was Peter Parker's relationships to all the other characters in this movie. Some of my favorite scenes in this movie are just plain old conversations that he has with them. No action, just talking. I mean, not to say that the action sequences in this movie were bad. They weren't. They were actually pretty entertaining. But the dynamics are so well established that I didn't feel like I was watching Marvel characters. I was just watching people doing their thing. And it was just so refreshing to see that in the MCU. And I loved how this movie returned to the basics of the character of Spider-Man. What has made Spider-Man endure the test of time and become such an iconic figure to the superhero genre is that he's just an ordinary person trying to do the best he can with the extraordinary gift that he was given. But at the same time, it comes at a cost. He cannot live the life that he wants, and yet he is a genuinely good human being, and he does make a lot of mistakes, but he learns from them, which makes him such a relatable figure to everyday sort of people. In fact, there is one scene that Tom Holland has with Zendaya, and I don't want to go into too much detail as to what happens in that scene because, I don't want to give anything away. But what happens in that scene was so heartbreaking, but it felt so necessary because it was part of his growth. It was a step forward into his adulthood. And I'm glad that the studio decided to make that step. Another bold choice that the studio made, which I should applaud them for, was their choice of villain. I don't want to say who it is, but who they got for this movie was actually a great choice. This character was so devious and so powerful that I actually see a lot of potential for this character for, a later time. And this is a character that I would not have expected to be in a Spider-Man film. But you know what? It totally works. Unfortunately, there are some things that just didn't work for me. First of all, let me just say this. I think that every Spider-Man film that is ever going to be made henceforth is going to have a tough time because they're always going to live under the shadow of Spider-Man 2, which is something that I regard as not only the best live-action Spider-Man movie ever made, but also the best superhero film made in general. But in any case, what happens in this movie just felt way too familiar. I mean, I've seen this kind of story before. Peter Parker is lonely, he can't tell anybody his secret, and he's struggling to live a double life. Also, he cannot use his powers the same way as he used to. I mean, what does that sound like to you? Spider-Man 2. I get that the film was trying to be a metaphor for adapting to change or suppressing that one true part of yourself. I get that. However, I've seen that done before and I've seen it done better. And because of that, everything ended up being so predictable. Also, one of the characters in this movie, and I cannot say who it is. Man, I cannot say a lot about this movie. But one of these characters was just so bland. I mean, there was no personal angle whatsoever, so I wasn't sure what to feel for him. And at the end of the day, I felt absolutely nothing. So either the actor was miscast or this character was seriously underdeveloped. You be the judge. And lastly, the thing that got to me the most were the continuity errors. Marvel is no stranger to those things. For the past few years or so, they have had a knack for not being close enough to the project to remember all the elements that they inputted into their own damn projects. In terms of the whole brainwashing element that was established in the previous film, it was clear to me that in Brand New Day, they did not fully commit to that plan. And it was incredibly frustrating. In fact, the very last scene of this movie made me go, Damn it, Sony, why did you have to do that? Just when you thought that they were making so much progress, once again, they decided to backtrack. I was this close to giving this film an A-. I did find this film to be quite entertaining. In fact, some of the scenes made me feel very emotional, but there were a lot of things in this film that I just couldn't ignore. So I'm gonna have to give Spider-Man Brand New Day a B+, or an 8 out of 10, or 4 stars out of 5 stars. Thank you so much for watching my video, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more content, and I hope to see you again next time.